Allie. Join me as I make the St. Charles earrings. These Charles earrings are great because there's really 3 different options for components and ways to make it, actually more, countless, but it concentrates on form and fit. And that's what you're going to be working on in this video. If you do want any of the supplies like the tubelets or round trios, go ahead and look below the video in the description. We'll put links there so you can get back to the website and gather everything up. Gather up your supplies and let's get started. To begin, we are playing with form and fit. We are going to be using a RoundTrio bead, which nicely has 3 holes. We're going to be wrapping the RoundTrio and making it look bezeled with the 8 O's and the 15 O's on top, and then adding in, again, for that form and fit, our tubelet bead. To begin, I have a RoundTrio bead, and I have size 8 dragon thread on a size 11 needle, and I'm going to take about 3 feet of thread through the RoundTrio. On the exterior, I'm going to add 1, 2, and 3 of my 8 seed beads and go back up through that same first hole. I'm leaving a little bit of a tail to tie onto, but not much. From here, I'm adding 1 more 8 seed bead and going from the first hole there to the 3rd hole. And then going in towards the interior, and I'm going from the 3rd hole back to the first hole and putting 1 more of my 8 seed beads there. That's just going to kind of hang out in the middle. From here, I'm going back through that 8 seed bead. After exiting that 8 seed bead, I'm also going to go back through the 3rd hole of the RoundTrio. And as I come out that 3rd hole of my RoundTrio, I'm going to wrap 3 more of my 8 O's along the side. Go back up through and out the top. Now I want to connect it and make it look like an entire complete circle. So what I'm going to do is go down through the 3 8 O's that I just added. And on either side of that middle 8 O that connects the holes, I'm going to add another 8 O. So I'm adding an 8 O. I sew through that bottom middle bead, add an 8 O. Sew through the 3 beads on the side. What the multi-hole bead allows you to do is to make it so these beads do not flip or turn to the back or to the front. They stay nice and to the side. On the opposite side, same thing. Add in an 8 O. Go through the 8 O there. Add in 1 more 8 O. And go through the 3 on the side to complete the circle. This gets a complete ring around that RoundTrio bead with 8 O's all around the outside. We're going to be thinking about these in 4 groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, and 4. On the corners here, we are going to add 1 15 O along with a tubelet bead along with an 8 O. I'm going to use the 8 O to stabilize and to hold the tubelet in place, going back down through the tubelet, giving a nice tight pull, adding 1 more 15 O, and coming down through the next 3 beads in line. This is going to kind of create a cornered section as we're working on it. I know we still need to decorate the top of our RoundTrio. Don't worry, we will do that. A 15 gets added, a tubelet bead, and an 8 O. This again gets done on every single corner. The big thing here again is learning that tension and learning kind of when to push and pull. We want to push the bead down next to our tubelet and pull the extra thread so we don't have any more. Add a 15 after exiting the tubelet and sew through the next group of 3 8 O's. Same thing, 15, tubelet, 8. Let that fall down. Go back through the tubelet. From here, add a 15 and go through the next 3 lines of 8 O's. Last one here in the corner, 15, tubelet, 8. Let the 8 hang out on the top. Go back down through the tubelet and out before the 15. As I do so, I do a nice tight pull, add 1 of your 15s, and go through the first row of 3 that your thread was originally coming out of. Here I get all of those right and into a corner unit. From here, along the side, I'm going to add one more 15-0, hopping over the 15 and the tubelet there. I'm going to go into bead number 1 from my collection of the next group of 3. That puts a little 15 right there in the corner, making it look like a little triangle of beads. From here, I want you to do 1 and 2 15s, followed by 1 8, followed by 2 15s. You're going to hop over the middle bead there, skipping that interior bead, and go along into bead number 3. What you're going to do then is exit before going through any of your beads. Let that kind of lay nice there. And up. Add a 15. Skip over the 15 and the tubelet that's already there, sewing above it. Add a seed bead. And now add your group of 1 2 15s, followed by 1 8, followed by 2 15s, and into bead number 3. So we've done this now on 2 sides. I have to do it on 2 more sides, making sure to remember to add the 15 in the corner. And then out bead number 1, add your collection of beads. And then skip over bead 2 and out bead 3. When you come out bead 3, again, remember to add your bead for the corner. If you want the bead in the corner to stand out a little bit more, you can switch from a 15 to 11. And if you don't want these to sit quite as high, you can also switch to 115 rather than 2. A lot of variations can be made with fit. If you are using Toho brand versus Miyuki brand, I would recommend that 115 versus the 2 leading up to the 8. Making sure you're not wrapped around the tubelet like I just did. And we put our last of our 15s and 8 combo on and through. Now, as I exit this third bead, this is where I'm going to come into the interior of the project. And on the interior of the project, what I want to do is add my interior beads. So I'm going to add in my 15-0s along the round trio in the middle. To add in the 15-0s along the middle, I'm going to go from these exterior 8-0 seed beads, and I'm going to bounce into the round trio. See how that thread kind of wanted to go around the exterior? Just make it cooperate. Now I'm going to come into the interior. So my thread's currently coming out right here through one of the 8-0s. I'm going to go in and look for that line and see where the closest hole of the round trio is and go through that round trio hole. Just like we did on the interior with the 8s, we're going to do kind of the same thing with the 15s. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 15s go along the right side of our round trio bead. So we're going from one side to the other. And then we're going to jump over to the third hole on the opposite side. And once again, we're going to do 5 beads. Unlike our first one here, and I'm just turning it because it's easier to hold, I'm going through that hole again. Unlike the first one where we went up through the holes and put a bead in the middle, this time we are just going to connect. We are going to connect our 2 sides with 5 more of our 15-0 seed beads. So we're going through these 15s that we just added. Once you're back through all 5 of them, you're going to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. Sew back through the 5 on the opposite side. Usually you can get about 3 or 4 that you can get your needle through before your needle wants to pop out, and you'll have to regroup and sew through that last one. And then once again, we're adding 5 more. So the interior line gets 12 beads. This exterior line gets interior line rather. Exterior gets 12 8s. The interior gets 15 or 20 of the 15s rather. And see how that fits really, really beautifully. Now, I wanted to show you this and stop here because if you just want to do something really small, or you want to create a bracelet, you can link these together with that connection piece, leaving off the tubelet beads as you go around and just connecting there. Then the next one would be that next of the Charles star. So from here, the interior, what I'm going to do is get to the exterior. The exterior, we get to connect our lines. So I'm going to drop down into the exterior here, dropping down from my 15s into one of my 8s. As I come out there, you won't see the thread at all. I'm going to sew over through the design piece. I'm going to sew over so I'm coming out the 8-0 that sits along the side between our tubelet beads. Once again, just be aware and kind of keep track that you're not by accident wrapping your thread around any of those tubelets that are kind of sticking up like candles. From here, when you're out through the 8-0, we're just going to pull those towards the exterior, and we're going to connect the exterior lines together to complete the process. You're going to do 1 15, followed by 1 tublet, followed by 2 15s. My thread's currently coming out this 8-0 seed bead, going down towards the bottom. I'm going to go into the next 8-0 seed bead. Once again, coming out here, 1 and 2 15s, a tublet, another 15, grab onto that center 8. And that creates that first little line. We're going to end up having 4 points to this. 1 15, 1 tublet, 2 15s into that corner 8-0. 2 15s, 1 tublet, 1 tublet into that center 8. So you're going out and in and out and in. And again, if you're joining in and you say, hey, I don't have the tubelets, but I have some other bead, try it with a different shape. You can try it with a round bead coming out from the center here. It'll change the spacing a little bit, but you use this again to practice kind of that form and that function. Oops, I had an 11-0 that jumped on there. And play around with the fit of the seed beads around the RoundTrio. You can do something similar without a multi-hold bead if you have it. But what happens without the multi-hold bead is those beads tend to fall. They fall to the back of the design, which is why the RoundTrio is perfect for this project, because it doesn't. Going in here then, I have one more of my tublet to add, 2 15s, tublet, 15. I'm going to go back through that 8. And again, that finishes up the design. We're going to make one of those connectors, a second one, to sit right on top, just to show you that variety. But if you want to, you can just do a little right angle unit and add your earring there. If you want to continue on, like I'm going to do, and do one more unit to sit on top, I'm going to take my needle and thread, kind of pull that starter thread towards the back, and I'm going to completely finish off this piece. So we're just going to finish this off going down in towards the 15s there, in towards the starter 8-0, bringing my thread and needle out right next to that starter, and we're going to tie it off. Tying that off then, I'm going to take my thread burner or my thread zap or scissors, and we're just going to cut down the end of the thread and kind of get it out of there. It's secured now. All right, now we're going to repeat and do the top connection point here. The top connection point, again, is very similar to that of the center, but we're just changing it out and we're not doing the tublet beads. So to start and begin, you can change it to the purple, you can do blue, it's up to you. I'm going to get out a couple more 8-0 seed beads, and we are going to do the exterior of our piece. This one, again, will not require any of our tublet beads. So we are going to go from our tublet, or from rather our RoundTrio. 3 beads go on through the RoundTrio. Or you can do RoundTrio would be easiest, and then our 3 beads. back through that outer side of the round trio. Going from hole number 1 to hole number 3, add 1 of your 8-ohs, another 8-oh, back up into hole number 1. Those beads kind of floating on the end like little barbells, let them. Go back through the 1, back down through the side. This gets it a really nice fit. 1, 2, and 3 seed beads go along the side here. And now we're going to work on connecting all of our seed beads. To connect our seed beads, we're going to go back through the 3 that we just put on. Where there's space in the top, we're adding an 8, going through an 8. Adding an 8, going down through the 3 8s along this side. And I'm pulling my thread tight there to tighten it up. Here on the opposite side, same deal. We have 2 holes. 1 8 goes in there. 1 8 goes in the other. Now last time what we did was we jumped to the exterior and we used our tubelet beads. Right here I'm going to show, if you want to, you can go in and do your 15-ohs right away. So after going through all of those beads along the corners, I'm going to pop into my round trio, going through hole number 1, add 5 15s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down through that round trio from the opposite side, making sure that as you're doing this, you stick to the top of the piece so that you're not getting your threads wrapped around. Let's bring this in just a tiny bit closer here. All right. Coming out there, I'm going to skip from the right hole over to the left hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 15s, and back up through that exterior hole on the left. As I come out there, I'm going to go back through those 5 seed beads, circling around, and then add 5 seed beads on the interior. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Up and around you go. And when we get to the empty space on the opposite side, going through all those seed beads, we've got 5 more 15s to add. Go back through the 5 original that your thread was coming out of and complete that interior circle. Now, if you want to, you can stop right now, add a little right angle weave, and that can be your connection point. There's a lot that you can do with these little tiny beads. What we're going to do is we're going to still add a little bit along the sides. So I'm looking here, I'm going to come down into my 8-oh seed beads and sew through 3 of them. That creates that little corner that I want. And in the little corner, we're going to add 1, 2, and 3 of our 15-ohs. We're going to go over to the next corner instead of our tubelets, and we're going to add 1, 2, and 3 15s. Again, 3 more beads. 1, 2, 3. 3 more beads. 1, 2, 3. When I go through, I'm going to come out through bead number 1 here in that group of 3. So we didn't put the tubelets on, we just put on 3 15-ohs, making sure that they sit nice and in the corner there. From here, coming out, we're going to downgrade to 1. 1 15, 1 8, 1 15. Hop on over to the next corner. And this will just sit right below. Here on the side, we're not adding anything in the middle. You're just going to go through bead number 1. Come on out. Add in a 15, an 8, and a 15. And then hop on over to bead number 3. Push that towards the back and hop over and do the same thing again. So we're doing this all on all 4 sides of our piece. And we're almost connecting this like a building block here, like we're building a bridge from one to the other. hence the Charles name. Going in here then into, once again, that third bead, hopping over the corner, out bead number 1, 15, 8, 15, and into bead number 3. From here, after we go into bead number 3, sometimes it takes a little push to do so because you're nice and tight by the time you get to the end. After you're out through here, we're going to come out through this section here of our 8. Push those down, make sure they look nice and cooperate. Move that starter thread out of the way. Here's what the back is going to look like. Here's what your front is going to look like. And we're going to connect the 2 pieces together. So to connect the 2 pieces together, we are going out through bead number 1. We are going up through the 15 and out through the 8-0C bead. Out the 8-0C bead here, we're going to do right angle weave and connect those 2 so they sit one on top of the other. 8-0 goes on through one of the top 8-0s, making sure that we're sitting so that both of your bezels, are facing towards the top. 8-0 goes on, back through bead number 1 from the top unit. And that is going to connect those 2 units. We're going to reinforce going through one more time through those 2 units. Upper, lower. So it's nice to see like that you can create this design. Oh, I'm going to need to back out there through that 15-0. I just want to attach to the 8s. It's nice to see that you can create any piece of this, add the tubelets, not add the tubelets, add something else, create your lines and figures and wrap around your beads to make them look like they're bezeled with very little effort to change up the design. After going through here and tightening this up through the design. At this point here, you can reinforce going back up through the top, add a wire guard and add your earring. If you want to continue with the bugle, or rather the tublet look, and you want to connect this into a bracelet, another option for you is to add a 15, a tublet, and a 15, and go through the rightmost 8-0C bead. Coming out there on the side, 15 and a tublet and a 15 get added. Now, what you need to add at the same time is you need to add 1, 2, and 3 of your 8-0s. Go back through the 8 that's at the top, and then back through the one that your bead is currently coming out of, or the first one you added, to create that little right angle unit. So it's coming out through the back there. Come down the opposite side here, that 8-0 on the left. And when you're coming out that 8-0 on the left, spin it around, and we're doing the same thing here. 15, tublet, 15, into the side bead. Push that a little bit towards the back. And we're going to do the same thing now, going down. After this, we put on our ear wire, or we tie it off, and we get ready to make our next Charles star unit. Oops, sorry, into the 8. And then once we make our next star unit, you can continue on if you want to as a bracelet. So lots of options to make it simple, complex, continue on, make it easy, and really just kind of play with the design a little bit. I need to push those tubelets to the back, pushing my RoundTrio to the front. And now I go in, reinforce going through that connection point, just through the 8. Oops, not catching on to the side. Through the 8-0, up through the tublet, out through the side here, into the side bead, out through the beads here, up to the top bead. When you're at the top, this is where you'll want to go in and add your wire guard. Grab one of those out. Adding my wire guard, I'm going to go up through one side of the wire guard, down through the opposite side, and go back through that same 8/0 seed bead. Reinforcing this, we're going to go back up through the wire guard one more time, down through the wire guard on the opposite side, through that 8/0, through our right angle weave unit, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Getting that wire guard out of that 8/0. I don't want it in there. If it tilts a little bit and tries to go in, just pull it up like that. There we go. Down through the side here, and then down through your bugle, or your tubelet rather, and your 15s along the side, just to tighten that up a tiny bit. Bring your needle and thread then towards the interior of the project. Tie off your thread ends, and that finishes up your Charles component. Stick an earring on or an ear wire on. You can do it again, just the bottom. You can connect to the top, or you can keep going and create a beautiful, beautiful bracelet design. Thanks so much for joining me in creating the Charles earrings. You can do them short, tall, small, make it into a bracelet, do the component. I like these component-based things because you can kind of add, subtract, and make whatever you want. If you have a chance, post your version in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. We would love to see all the varieties that people come up with. As always, too, if you need any materials, below the video in the description, we put a list with links there too. You can gather all of your supplies. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe because you don't want to miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. Thanks so much for watching, Potomac Beaders, and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.